Welcome to another edition of Deportes Nation. My name is Alex Parra, and how do I know I'm Alex Parra? Because you can see right here with this little graphic, it says I'm Alex Parra. I'm very proud of myself. I'm able to do that all by myself. And Deportes Nation, Deportes y más. Today we're talking about the más, the other, beyond sports, kind of. And you know, it's been a tough time for a lot of us. It's a tough time for the show, to be honest with you. The talent, the level of talent and guests is very, very low. So today I had to bring someone aboard, so why not bring someone that's close and dear to me? And I'm kidding. She's huge in her mind. Ask her. She'll tell you that. Miss Grace Parra, my sister, by the way. So, Gracie, first of all, I hope you can hear me. And if you can, how are you? And welcome to the big show.
I can hear you, although I don't know that I like all of what I heard, but no, it's a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much, big brother. I do feel like I'm huge in my own mind, but a lot of that is the baked goods that I'm eating these days because there's a lot of time on my hands that I have and a lot of butter. Not a lot of flour, though. I will say that. I'm running out, so maybe I'll get that wedding figure at some point soon. We'll see.
Maybe. Gracie, a lot to talk about it. You know, there's a couple of ways I can bring you in. I'm very excited about this. They have this little thing where I bring you in a little box. So now you're with me in the little box. Right over here. Here's the little box right there. Right there. Yeah. I like keeping you in a little box. It keeps you contained. I think that's a good way. You what?
Yeah. I'm pretty small as it is, so you can stick me in
many spaces. You are. By the way, you're live right now from LA, Los Angeles. Yes. How are things out in LA, Gracie?
You know, I went on a walk this morning. We talked on the phone a little bit this morning, and it was the first time that I saw not too many people walking around my neighborhood, and everybody now is wearing masks. Everybody's wearing masks. Which has been kind of the norm, I think, for about a week now in LA. I think officially as of last Friday, we've been under the decree of wearing masks. So that's not too different. It was good, I guess, that people are staying home, but eerie. I mean, it's a beautiful day here. It's, you know, that perfect like 72 and sunny weather that Southern California is so known for. And so it's very strange to not be seeing a lot of people around. But those that are around, you know, I will say I walked past this one little market in my neighborhood called Beechwood Market, and I did see a person walk in, get one juice, and walk out. Can you imagine? One juice.
Wow.
One juice. I know. It's like, for some people, nothing's changed, I guess.
You know, the paranoia, and I'm going to bring you in a different way. We can kind of split the screen, and there you are. We're now side by side, which is what I was looking for. It's great to see you, Gracie. And I'm going to get really excited with this whole graphic thing happening here. But
it's your first day using a computer.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You have a lot more hair than I do, by the way. Mine's just barely staying together with hairspray and some string.
Hair is just a lot of volume and not a lot of product.
They call mine the Play-Doh hair. I have no idea how it stays in place, but I do my best at my age. Gracie, I know a lot of people are going through a lot of hard and difficult times, and you know, you mentioned going to the store. I know that a few weeks ago, kind of when this started, you would go in, do your thing, not be too conscious. At least here in Texas, where I'm based, nobody was wearing masks, nobody was wearing gloves, and we were doing our thing, but we were doing our thing. I've seen less and less people now at stores, meaning more spacing, the usage of masks, the usage of gloves, and to be honest, a little more paranoid about, don't get too close to that guy. Well, that happened to me even before all this, but I can sense that people really are you know, stiff-arming you, to use a sports term.
Yeah, I'm the stiff armor myself, actually. I will give people dirty looks if they get anywhere near me. Walking around this neighborhood, it's like a little game of cat and mouse, where if I see somebody come this way, I'll move this way, and then God forbid, like I was on the phone with you today, and there was a runner that came up right behind me, and I gave him the dirtiest look, and I was like, oh, some people, and I just became like this 1950s housewife who just, you know, goes out in her front yard and starts yelling at people about, you know, playing around where they shouldn't. That's me. Just, these people. That's me all day long. So I feel that hard. I never expected that I would be that person, but man, do I love my personal space. And as a petite lady, I mean, I'm 5'1". I don't need that much personal space yet. I want a lot more than I really deserve.
5'1", 373 pounds. I think you got to find a balance somewhere in there, Gracie. Really,
correct.
I think it'll do you good. we of course go way back, but let's talk about we go way back. By the way, quick fact: some of those of you that didn't know about our little sister Grace Parra. By the way, in your graphic it says sister.
Just, because,
yeah, exactly, because you don't really have much of a professional career or anything. So
my Asian.
You were born in Pampa, Texas, and I think that's a little nibble there that a lot of people didn't know that you were born. Most people don't even know where that is, probably, right?
I know. I mean, I truly have never been there since I was born. I've not come back to visit.
They don't want you back.
They have said exactly. I have not come visit because I have not been to visit because there's a restraining order, but that's a different situation. I don't know much about Pampa except that I am very proud to be there. I think it's adorable and funny that I'm from there. I really don't think I've spent much time in the Panhandle at all, which is kind of a travesty. Do you remember a lot of it? I mean, we were only.
I try to forget it. No, I do remember. I was there again, little tidbits that maybe people don't know, and frankly, they may not care. I was a senior in high school when you were born, and I still look better than you. That's what's amazing, with the age difference. I still look better. Botox and all kinds of makeup to make this guy stay together. My point, though, Gracie, in going way back to when you were born, other than 9/11, and it's not even close, I don't want to say close anymore. The impact of 9/11, I remember the date, the place, the location, the color, the carpet, when I was watching Peter Jennings on ABC talking about this. That was I remember the green carpet in our house. My point is, I don't think we have, as a society, as a country, faced something like this. And it's really strange. And also, all of us at different times, I believe, are having to adjust, to adapt. And we don't know. The uncertainty, I think, is the worst part of all of this.
And I will say that there is uncertainty because, as you mentioned, we haven't experienced anything quite like this ever. Part of it is not knowing. Part of it is that even though I think, like, intellectually we can all understand that this is happening on a global scale, it's so impossible to try to really understand what that means. The idea that what I'm going through, in LA, is exactly what you're going through in Houston, Texas, which is what they're going through in Tampa, which is what they're going through in China, in Australia, in Alaska. I mean, to the farthest reaches of the globe, this is the most universal thing that has perhaps ever happened to us. There's no, weather system that comes through at any given time that everybody experiences in the same way at the same time. There's no political movement that happens to everybody in the same way. Even world wars that have happened on, a grand scale with dozens, if not hundreds of countries, don't happen in the exact same way to everybody. So there's something that's terrifying about that. I think it's mostly terrifying right now. My hope is that at some point there's something that's kind of unifying about it. That we start to see each other more as a species, as a kind of global community, rather than just as the kind of partisan sects that we've established for ourselves. But like the scale of it is just really hard to comprehend right now. So the uncertainty that you talk about, I think, comes from not being able to do that. And also, like, our day-to-day being completely upended. I mean, what are the days now? What does any of it mean? Trying to establish a kind of consistency in, like, a daily schedule is all fine and dandy, but it doesn't feel real yet. It still feels like we're kind of play acting. I mean, that's my take. I don't know if you guys feel that.
I woke up, Gracie, a few days ago, and I tend to work or be outside the house, but I really had no idea, about being back with my family for dinner. I didn't know I had like 7 kids and 2 wives. Suddenly, all these people are around the table saying, "It's dinner time. Usually, I'm gone," And my wife reassured me there was no one else, but apparently, everyone's hungry these days.
And everybody gets along, so whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. No, clearly, I think we're all having to adapt and adjust. And I think one of the things I talk to about the people that work with me, Gracie, is don't only stay strong physically, but stay strong and healthy mentally. That can play games with you. I think I found a new term that I've been using for years, but I think it's called the depression nap. Yeah, I've been depression napping for years, apparently. I didn't know that. It's a thing, apparently, right?
I took one a couple days ago. Yeah, it's where you just feel so down. You're like, I physically can't do anything. I'm just going to nap right now. I'm not sleepy, but I'm going to convince my body that I need a nap because I don't know what else to do. And that's a depression nap.
A nap recharges you in some ways, but yeah, sometimes you just want to get away and roll up into a little ball, and that's natural and normal too. I think a lot of men, even men and women, I shouldn't just say even men, all of us are going to get hit by that. There was one day, literally, Grace, that I walked in the house and I did circles because I didn't know what to do, meaning what task should I do next? How should I organize my day? Usually most of us have a regimen that we follow, right? And we're just thrown off. And My question really to you, to get your opinion, is how do we
Yeah.
adjust to this and what's next?
Okay, so I think that some of us who are those of us who are fortunate enough to have family structures, people that we, if not see every day, who live with us, but at least people who we talk to, family members that we call, friends that we call, communities that we check in with. There's already kind of built-in structures that are present. So it's not like we have to completely change our day to day. If it might not be me going to see my mom every day, but maybe calling her every day. Little adjustments like that is one path. But another way I think is like we have to redefine what it means to be productive and understand that productivity is not going to be what we thought it was, as of 2 months ago. So, can you work out without having to go to the gym? Yeah, I think you can. Can you do your job without going outside of the house? For some of us, we're lucky enough to be able to do that. Not everybody, of course. But finding innovative ways within industries to make it so that anybody can work from home, or as many people as possible can work from home, is, I think, one of the important strategies that industry has have to start thinking about right now. That goes beyond just what we as individuals can start to participate in on a daily basis. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like another part of it is probably just adapting more to indoor kid skills, as I call them, like things that indoor kids are really good at, like sitting quietly and reading for a while, or playing video games, or me, like I play guitar, and I'm
Not very
actually
well, but you play it.
not very well, yeah. Although the metanoia years might say differently. Listening to music or watching movies, having the patience to just sit down and do things that I think in a life that we led 2 months ago, it was very easy to ignore those things, or to think that they were, not as significant as things that require a lot of activity and a lot of bluster. And I'm not just talking about sports, by the way. I know that, obviously sports is something that's important to you, to your
Sure.
listeners, to me as well. I mean, I have no athletic ability whatsoever, but I'm the biggest sports fan in
That's
the world.
true.
I love it. That's true. So I don't mean that it's just the action of like physical activity, but I mean the kind of bluster of like, oh, I've got to be out at a coffee shop writing, or I've got to be, going from this party to this dinner to this event to this show. That kind of hyperactive energy that I think we led with for a long time, that we built up towards, that can exist in a very healthy ecosystem, can't now in an ecosystem that requires us to take a little more time to, calm down.
Deportes Nation, I'm Alex Parra. Today, my guest, my sister actually, Grace Parra. We'll get to talk a little bit more about her and her career, and actually some things that are very exciting that she's currently involved with, and a new show on CBS. We'll talk about that shortly. But Grace, going back to sports, I think our new normal, and that's the term that we're all using in many ways. It's a cliche, but I think it applies here. Is that, yes, I'm involved in the world of sports. I was a commentator for the XFL, which, by the way, stopped its season, has closed its doors, and filed for bankruptcy. So what does that tell you? No more XFL. I'm a commentator for the MLS, Major League Soccer. Everything is dormant, and we're waiting to see what happens next. But I think reality, and this is news coming out of California in the last couple of hours, it's more than likely that us getting back into a stadium full of people may not be on the horizon anytime soon.
Yeah, that is what I'm reading as well, and it's a formal decree yet from Mayor Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, who, by the way, I think has done a really, really, really strong job of keeping us informed and making decisions as quickly as possible. But as somebody who's also in the midst of planning a wedding right now, we are looking very closely at what gatherings mean, what it means to be in a crowd, how many people are going to be able to gather, and under what circumstances. I think the priority, of course, is getting people working again, but for some people, their jobs do involve there being, tens of thousands of people in a stadium. So how do you compromise a need to get the economy rolling and also a need to keep people safe when there's no vaccine yet? That of course, I think is the element that really remains to be seen. How quickly can we start getting antibodies tests? How quickly can we start getting, COVID tests to people that have like a better than 60% rate of accuracy, which I think is one of the problems that I'm reading about. And then ultimately a vaccine, the quickest I think that a major vaccine has been developed for a disease that's spread in a similar manner to COVID. It took 4 years to develop a vaccine for the mumps. 4 years. Like I can't imagine that anybody is okay being in this kind of a position for the next 4 years. But the reality is that for us to say 2 weeks from now we're going to be able to flip a switch and be back to life as we know it is not feasible, I don't think. And I am a very professional doctor and politician, so I would take what I say as the gospel truth.
We all have to find this balance, Gracie, but the truth is, I think, somewhere in the middle. We have to look out for human life. That's precious, and it's a huge priority above anything else. But now we know the consequences, not only in the United States, but in our world, financially, economically, socially, of not having a quote-unquote normal life. And this is, look, we can all discuss whether the president is handling this well or not.
He's not.
And we can have that debate later, but at some point I do see a need to try to push and move forward. But we're so intertwined. It's not just one person can say go. The cogs in the wheel all have to work together. Again, to use another cliche. And if we don't do it properly, what happens then? And is this the beginning of a multi-wave of negativity of I'm going to use this word, of pain that has to come our way?
Well, I think that America is lucky in a sense that we have the advantage of seeing what happens in other countries who were affected by this disease earlier. So what's happening in China, the way that South Korea is handling things, the way that Singapore, Taiwan, all of the countries, in the East that I think have just a few months on us. I mean, even New York, for those of us in LA and Texas, we haven't necessarily reached the apex yet. New York is a little bit closer there. And there's a great article I was reading in, I think it was New York Magazine today, that was from the perspective of an ER doctor who is, she's been chronicling her kind of day to day for the magazine for a while. And she talks about having these calls with people in Kansas, let's say. And the ER doctors in Kansas are like, okay, so here's where I am. And the New York doctor is able to say, like, okay, I remember that because 2 weeks ago, that's where I was. So learning from each other is really, really key. But I also think that we have to pay attention to science above all. We have to pay attention to the models that are coming out, not like fashion models. I mean,
I've been paying attention to models for years.
Alex has been paying attention for a long time, so that's fine. So you got that. But the algorithms and generated models that sort of predict what could happen to us. There's no one model that's going to get it right, of course, but an aggregate of what we're learning from research labs, I think, is imperative to pay attention to.
By the same token, Grace, I will argue that life is uncertain in general. Maybe this now makes us more aware of that. But anytime we step outside our house, anything can happen, literally. And the question is, how much do we risk at some point breathing, living? And our father used to tell us this. Everything is a risk. It's how you handle it and then how you respond to whatever may be going on around you. So it's a difficult time. It's a tough time. In the midst of all that, Gracie, I know that you right now have been working on a project with CBS, a brand new comedy called Broke, that premiered, I believe, 2 weeks ago. This will be week number 3. Actually, tonight, episode number 3 is airing. Well, first of all, congratulations to you to all of the Broke family. The Broke family, that sounds funny. Tell us about how you got started with this project and how well it's doing so far.
Well, thank you. I started writing for the first season of Broke, the debut season of Broke on CBS, which just premiered 3 weeks ago. And I was brought on to do some punch-up on the show's pilot, I believe, in April of last year. And then when the show got a pickup in May, I was brought on to the writing staff. And I think there's a team of 9 or 10 writers. So relatively small, but man, it was just such an amazing experience, and in every possible way. I mean, the content is very funny. The people that I got to work with in all aspects of the show, the writers, the cast, the crew, are just really, really nice and very, very funny and very smart. And our boss, Alex Parra and Jenny Snyder-Ehrman and Joanna Klein, who are the other producers and creators of the show, that trio of people are just the absolute greatest people to work for. And the experience was awesome and really fun. And it's been very cool we wrapped, I think, in late January, early February. And that's when our editors were heavily into pre-production. And now we are in the midst of our first season. And we crazily enough and excitingly enough, with as much excitement as is imaginable, I never could have imagined this, that we actually debuted as the #1 comedy for the season, which is crazy, during our first week, which was very cool. I mean, I've done a number of shows now behind the camera as a writer, on camera as an actress, or as a commentator, host, whatever. And this is the first time that I've kind of been working on a show that's like, oh, people are actually sitting this. That's cool. So it's new for me. It's a new experience. And it's exciting. And, we're very hopeful that the audiences will continue to stick around and will continue to resonate.
Gracie, again, congratulations to you and the entire CBS family. Tell us a little bit about the premise of the show, and also something I didn't know, that this is a cast, and some great stars are in it, but one of them is a Latino. And you were telling me a very interesting fact about this being the first lead Latino in a network comedy, I believe, and there may be some fine terminology here, in decades. And that just amazes me, how we are mainstream. We are the current, I believe, the present and future of this country. Why has it taken so long?
Yeah, well, so first, Jaime Camille is the lead, the male lead of our show. He is a Mexican actor, brilliant, 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 so funny. And this is his first time doing a big multicam in America. And he is the first Latino lead of a comedy on CBS in almost 70 years.
Wow. Let's do that. 70 years?
Since Desi Arnaz and I Love Lucy.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy.
I was in my second marriage right about then, 70 years ago. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's shocking that it's that rare, but it is very, very, very special. It feels really exciting. And so that's what makes the fact that the show is resonating with audiences all the more exciting, that it is clearly not just because the content is good. Although I think ultimately, demographics only get you so far. It's cool to have, novel casting. It's great and exciting to have, more diversity behind the camera, in front of the camera. But if the content's not there, it's, you're still lacking in something. And so I think that this show is resonating, and I hope it continues to, because not only is it so exhilarating and long overdue to see somebody like Jaime, at the helm of his own multicam on CBS, but also because I think the content is funny. So yeah, that's an exciting element too. And go CBS for being like, yeah, let's put our money behind this show that's led by a Latino. And Izzy Diaz is another actor. And Antonio Corbo, actually, who plays Sammy, who's the kid on the show, is also Latino. So, and he's from San Antonio as well. So yeah, we've got a very strong Latino presence on the show, and it's very exciting.
Polly Perret also coming out of, I guess, more drama into comedy, right?
Yeah, she did some comedies, I think, earlier on in her career. I want to say like guest spots here and there, when she's kind of building up to the NCIS show that she was on for, like 14 seasons, where she became a household name. And this is the first time that she's done a multicam as a lead, and like anchoring it alongside Jaime. So that's really exciting too. And it's as a writer, it's exhilarating to see the different types of specific gifts and skills that your actors bring to the table, and specific ways to write to them. So there are certain things that, Jaime, as like a highly skilled stage performer, can do that very different than what Polly, who's like very, expressive and understanding of like the drama space within a small, kind of more nuanced, world, can bring to the table as an actor. So those things aren't limiting by any means. All it does is it expands what we can bring to them. And then, as actors, they surprise you all the time with being able to bring new takes to reads that you just never would have expected. And also, one of the gifts that we get to have on the show is writing scenes in Spanish too, which is very cool.
That's very, very cool. And again, 70 years, that still blows my mind. Gracie, tell us about the show. When is your episode? I believe you wrote an episode. When would that be airing? And then how does it work for the future? I guess it depends on ratings and people liking the show for it to continue. But in this COVID-19 situation, we again, uncertainty.
So the show is on CBS Thursday nights, 9:30 Eastern and 8:30 Central.
Okay.
And it airs after Mom, which stars, of course, the glorious Allison Janney. And so that is Thursday nights on CBS. And we have, a 13-episode first season. So we will be airing the third one tonight. My episode, I believe, is 6th, so I think that's the first week of May. And all the episodes are on Thursday, but you can follow me at Grace Parra 360 on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll definitely be posting, all sorts of stuff about it. So that's to answer the show itself. Now, as far as what the future of, there's a few things here. The future of the show, as it stands, in the future of Hollywood in general. So the future of the show will be determined how much success we continue to have. I think as far as audiences go, as far as how frequently people are able to, as the excitement around it and ratings and all that, the kind of classic stuff. I'm very hopeful. I think the numbers so far have been very positive. So fingers crossed, and prayers and all that. But I'll leave that in the hands of CBS. But as far as what happens with Hollywood, that's a whole different situation. Sure. And it's interesting, as a writer who has been writing now for Multicam, which takes place in front of a live audience, it's really hard to see how we could have a live audience. But that doesn't necessarily mean that a show like Broke can't continue in some form, nor can any show that has, whether it's in front of an audience or not. I think that there's going to have to be a lot of innovation. I think one cool thing as a writer is that you can write without much of a problem in quarantine. You can Zoom with fellow writers, you write on your own and get edits from, the powers that be, the executives on a show. You can submit an entire season of a show. Before you even have to shoot anything. So it's possible that a number of shows will do that. They'll just start going into pre-production by writing, and then, getting into production later once the air is more clear. Then I think, making sure that health standards are as up to date as possible, whatever that may look like months from now. And I think that means smaller crews. I think that means, I don't know, smaller, limited, or no audiences for shows that have audiences. Wow. Which
it was like this show. We just have a laugh track.
Oh, good. I imagine
it's my son in the back laughing. Usually not laughing because it's not funny.
And that was a laugh from years ago that you just recorded.
Well, I throw the whip at him and he laughs, and he knows that, and it's $5 for every lashing, basically.
Oh, that's one way to earn money in this economy.
That's the way it works. Exactly. Gracie, again, very proud of you. Let's wrap up with some sports. What do you miss right now in the sports world? I know that you follow the NFL, you follow football, soccer, you follow different sports. What are you missing right now, sports-wise?
Well, my fiance is a big Patriots fan, of course.
And by big, you mean very big?
Very large, very large. Well,
no, we love him. I'm just playing.
We love Niall. We do love Niall.
He's all right.
And we love that the Jannies are a Patriots family. So, like, the fact that the icon of the Patriots has now left and is going to Tampa Bay of all places feels like it should be something. I know.
What's his name? That guy? One of the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch, right? Peter or Marsha Brady. One of those.
Marsha Brady.
That's it.
So the fact that like this whole thing is happening and we're not, we sort of talked about it and then we sort of moved on from it. I just think it would be much bigger news that we'd be discussing a lot more frequently, and especially like as other players would start to sign contracts and seeing what different matchups look like and how preseason starts looking. I mean, all these things are up in the air, and I think that would be a really exciting conversation that we're not having right now. Obviously, NBA playoffs, I'm a huge fan of. Our Rockets, gotta love the Rockets, and I don't know where they'd be right now, but that's I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh God, our brother Renee with the Sooners, like, I mean, what if we can't have a college football season? And then the XFL I was really excited about, really excited. No, really, like, that's some crazy innovation in the world of professional football that I think has been long overdue. And I mean, it's so tragic. But I will say that I do have ESPN Plus, and the 30 for 30 documentaries are great. I highly recommend them. And so I've been trying to get my sports fix that way. And I don't know, maybe I'll take up like competitive video game playing. I don't know. I just, whatever it takes, I guess. I need that like testosterone though,
I get it. I need it too. Apparently, at my age, it starts depleting and things don't work like they used to. So if you got a vial, please send it my way. Gracie, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and it won't be the last time that you're on Deportes Nation with me. We really enjoy the time together. I can't tell you enough that I love you. I'm very proud of you, and hopefully you, ladies and gentlemen, that have taken the time to watch, send us a note if you like this, if you enjoyed this kind of format. I know we do, and maybe it's a little selfish for me to get to speak to my sister and learn from her, but what the hell, we're going to do it anyway. So hopefully you two can enjoy it. Gracie, any final messages for all the people that are watching us today, please?
I mean, I'll echo what you said earlier, which is we have to stay healthy, not just physically, but also mentally as best as we can. And just be gentle with yourself. I think, I mean, it's something our mom and I talk about all the time too, that, it resisting the urge to get mad if you don't feel like you're writing King Lear, like everyone, oh, Shakespeare wrote King Lear in isolation. Go F yourselves. Like, you're not Shakespeare. Don't hold yourself to that standard. Not that you can't push yourself and have ambitions, but it's okay if you just want to sit back and watch Tiger King for a few hours one day. So being gentle with yourself, both mentally and physically, those are the most important things right now. And reach out to friends and family. Whatever your relationship might be with them, reach out to them and say hi. And, even if it's just a text, that's all it has to be. I think that goes a long way now. So that's my advice.
What was that? That was your little bit. I agree with most of what you said. I do believe that we have to be good to ourselves mentally to stay strong. And it does make a difference if we can reach out to someone, Gracie. And I say this genuinely. Reach out to family, to friends, maybe someone you haven't talked to or even texted in a while. A simple, hey, how are you? Thinking about you, hope you're well. It can make a difference in someone's life. It can change their life because there are people throughout this now, in a few months, in a few years, that will go through a depression. And it's important for all of us to help each other out. So, Gracie, thanks again for being on the show on Deportes Nation. Can't tell you that we love you enough. And for you, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you joining us. So, Gracie, I bid you adieu. Hasta luego. I'll wrap it up here. But thank you for joining us, young lady.
Okay, sounds good. I love it. I'll see you guys later.
All right, bye-bye. So there you go. That was the beautiful and talented Grace Parra. We want to thank her very much for being with us. And more than anything, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I am Alex Parra, because that's what the graphic says. So don't forget the name. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. And until next time here on Deportes Nation. Take care.